Hey, cell biology students. I want to use this video today to talk about our upcoming paper project for the rest of this semester. And I hope that you find this video useful, and please feel free to refer back to it anytime that you want to. So the reason that I developed this project for cell biology is because when I first came to King and went to science seminar every Monday for the first few years, I noticed that students tend to have a hard time describing the scientific data figures that they are presenting during science seminar. And when I reflected on why that is, I thought that it was probably because students don't always have a lot of exposure to primary literature before seminar, and that they may not have had to grapple with data figures from a paper before. So this project is designed to give you several important skills that will help you the rest of your time as a science major. It's going to get you familiar with searching scientific literature. It will help you to get comfortable with the discomfort, or I guess get used to the discomfort of reading material that is more advanced than your current knowledge. It will get you used to learning the skills for how you break down a particular data figure and explain it to others. And it will give you skills in writing for science, paraphrasing, and citing scientific literature in the appropriate way. The beginning of this semester, we spent the first 7 weeks doing hands-on lab activities and getting used to some of the methods used in cell biology. The rest of the semester during lab time, we're going to be doing this paper project and focusing on searching literature, understanding literature, making a writing plan, drafting a paper, citing your references, polishing your paper, and then by the end of the semester, you're going to have a short, maybe 4 to 6 page paper describing how the authors came up with that data and what the data means from this journal article. This is one of those items that can go into your science seminar portfolio as an example of good and advanced work. So what I'm going to do next is show you where to find the resources for this paper project in Canvas, and also show you how do you identify your journal articles that you might want to use for this project. So I'm going to share screen now. There we go. And let's move this Teams window out of the way. Firstly, I've posted a document about this overall project in Canvas that describes the guidelines. So I probably should briefly go through that here in the beginning. I want all of you to start with the same level playing field for this project. So I'm restricting the journals that you can use to this journal that's just called Cell, or any of the other journals that are associated with the original grandfather prestigious Cell journal. And we'll look at which ones those associated journals are in a few minutes. It has to be published within the past 5 years. And in general, this overall project is a fourth of your grade in cell biology. So this can help your grade or it can hurt your grade. But I think if you take it seriously, it will end up helping your grade. Okay, I want to scroll down to kind of some major steps in this assignment. So I'm going to put the camera back on myself for a minute here. Switch it up. Oh, there we go. Couldn't find the right window. Okay. Sorry for that awkward pause. This is what we refer to as being a scaffolded assignment. And scaffolded means that I don't just say, write me this paper and turn it in by December 1st, and I grade that paper and that's it. Scaffolded means that each week we're going to have a separate step on the way to writing that paper. And this gives you more small grades instead of one big giant paper grade. And it also kind of forces you to work on this every week and to take your time and to build a quality paper by the end instead of rushing it at the last minute and throwing something together, which I know is human nature to do that. So let's look at the individual steps of this scaffolded project. So you're first going to select 2 different journal articles that you might want to use. You're going to submit those through Canvas, and then I am going to look at them briefly and suggest one of them that I think would be better for you. This has some to do with you, and it also has some to do with my expertise and ability to help you as you're looking into that process. There are certain biological topics that I am weaker in, and especially methods that include bioinformatics, crystal structure, and a variety of other techniques that I'm not as familiar with. And the other faculty are very good at that, but I am going to be the one helping you through this project. So I'm going to suggest one of your papers over the other based on your background and what courses you've had, and also my expertise in guiding you through the project. You're going to find as you look at articles that you probably don't understand everything about them. I also don't understand everything about them. So don't spend a whole lot of time searching for an article that you already understand, because the process of learning how to understand is really important. So first you pick 2 articles. I suggest to you which one would be better. Then you're going to pick out of that article a key data figure that you're going to focus on explaining. You're going to spend some time looking at that data figure and develop for yourself a list of, if I'm going to explain this to somebody else, what else do they have to know? And I call this the TBE list, or to be explained list. This to be explained list is the biggest key to me of this project, because this is what's most relevant to Science Seminar or any other explanation in writing or in speaking that you do in your career. You need to have a plan before you get up there, or before you write the paper, or before you convey difficult information to somebody else. You need to have a plan of how you're going to explain it and what your goals are. So this TBE list is the beginning of your plan for what needs to be in your paper. After you have that, the next step is to develop your outline of your paper and also your references list. And we'll talk more about that later in the semester, but that's the next step. The step after that really is to develop a draft of your paper. Sometime between November 1st and November 18th, each one of you will need to meet with me on Teams to have an individual consultation about your paper. And what this really is for, and I just noticed I've got 2 number 5s here. Doesn't matter, because the individual consultation can be basically any time in November before the draft is due. And what you should use that meeting for is to just talk to me about what you need help with, or what you don't understand, or anything that you're struggling with. And that type of meeting is really, really useful to have. It's really useful to have to get some guidance from me. Then on November 19th, everyone's drafts will be due, and you students will review each other's papers. Each one of you will review 2 other papers and give suggestions to those students that wrote the papers about what they should do to make it more understandable. You can let them know what your questions are. You can let them know what's not making sense to you as a student about what they're writing. And that is good practice for you as a reviewer, and also good for you to get feedback from multiple people about your draft. I actually am not going to be reviewing your drafts, because if you have done all of these in between steps, and if you have had a consultation with me, and you've got good, useful comments from 2 of your peers about your draft, you're going to end up with a good final paper. Your final paper is going to be due after Thanksgiving, and you actually have, let's see, it's almost 2 weeks from when you get the reviews back from your draft to doing the final paper. Notice that these in-between steps are 20 points apiece. And all of those in-between steps actually add up to more points than the final paper is worth. And I make it this way so that you will value and experience the best way to produce a big project that's quality work is to break it down into individual steps. Some other important details about your final paper. I'm gonna put the camera back on myself for a minute. I really value letting students make decisions about their own creative work. In my classes, you don't get to do that much creative work, but this paper really is a creative work for you to figure out how do you want to explain a figure to your peers. So because of that, this paper does not have a particular length requirement, and it does not have a rigid format requirement. I want you to write for purpose. So what I mean by that is when you write for purpose, you think about what is the purpose that this assignment or this writing needs to accomplish, and then you decide how you get there. So for example, the reason today that I am making this video for you is that I'm going to be tied up presenting faculty perspective to the Board of Trustees today. So I've had to write out a plan for what I'm going to say to them, and there is no standard template for how faculty do this. I have to think about, what did faculty tell me that they want the board to know, and how do I get the board to take me seriously and pay attention to me? How do I ask for things without seeming whiny? How do I tell them about good things that are going on and make them value and appreciate the faculty? That's my purpose today. So when I write that document, I have to be thinking about everything I'm trying to accomplish, and I write for purpose. I want you all to write for purpose with this assignment. So there are some guidelines. It's not a total free-for-all. Most papers that are good are 4 to 6 pages. You don't have to go on forever to explain this key figure, but if it's less than 4 pages, it's usually not explaining enough. They should be double-spaced in Word, 1-inch margins. Just use this boring Times New Roman 12-point font. I am picky that you've got to have 10 references. So you have to have 10 references in your works cited. We're going to be using a particular citation style called CSE, and we'll have a separate session about that later in the semester. But your references have to be quality. 3 of those have to be primary journal articles. So this means that they're research papers, not reviews and not summaries and not popular media articles, but primary science journal articles that have data in them. And your main paper that you're talking about is going to be one of those 3. You can have 3 references that are websites if they're high quality websites. And we'll talk more about those in later weeks, but you can have 3 that are websites, and you can have up to 4 that are quality review articles. So review articles are summarizing primary research articles, and they're often a good introduction to a topic, but they are not themselves research articles. So that's going to be the distribution of your references. They have to be distributed so that you have some of each. If you wanted to write this paper all with primary journal articles as sources, that's great, but that's harder to do at your guys' level. Your final paper is graded according to this breakdown. So 10% of it is your grammar and spelling. 25% of it is correctly using this citation style and correctly having a good mix of quality references. 15% is how well you paraphrase and don't plagiarize, and your general writing style. Writing style is not the same thing as grammar and spelling. It's your sentence structure and how you have a good flow of ideas. And then half of your grade is what are you actually saying? So it's kind of half of your grade is, are you saying it in a correct manner? Half is, are you actually telling me what I need to know about this figure? So that's the overview of what this project is about. I'm going to stop this video and immediately start another one to talk about how do you find your journal articles. So be looking for that video right after this one.